Hey everybody, this is GGB co-host Pupper. Today we're going to talk about the Bills-Bears game. I know this is late, but I'm going to try and get the rest of the videos out by, I hope, the end of the week. It's going to be a busy week for me. Luckily, I tested positive for COVID. Woohoo! Yeah, what a winner. So I can't go to school this week, which means I'm going to have a lot of time at the house, which means I'm going to get to a lot of videos. But let's get into this thing. Who won this Bills-Bears game? I got to put up my number one winner. And the only winner I have at quarterback is Mitchell Trubisky. Mitchell Trubisky played his former team, the Chicago Bears. And Mitchell Trubisky was kind of hated in Chicago, despite, if you think about it, even for a little bit, he shouldn't have been. It's not like the Bears were well run. He was always hated because he was taking over Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. And while I think Patrick Mahomes is a very talented player, who knows what the hell could have happened if he was drafted in the Bears organization? Let's be honest here. I mean, Mahomes is very talented, but he was drafted by Andy Reid, who's an offensive mastermind, and got to learn behind Andy Reid, who's he's a very solid quarterback and a good quarterback to learn behind for his first year. Mahomes was born into the perfect situation for him. Mitchell Trubisky was thrown on the field almost immediately with an incompetent head coach and an incompetent offense. And the only reason he's hated is because Matt Nagy's such a horrible coach. But he came into Chicago, he went 20-28, 221 yards, had a touchdown, he had one rush for 11 yards. He had a good day. He really did. Mitchell Trubisky looked really good. And let's be honest, I'm going to be honest, I think Mitchell Trubisky is an NFL quarterback. I still think, despite all these people hating on him, and most people do hate on him. I honestly don't understand it that much, but a lot of people hate on this dude. I think Mitchell Trubisky is an NFL QB. I even think he has the possibility to be a top 15 NFL QB. Does he have the arm strength of Josh Allen? No. Does he have the accuracy? He has extremely good accuracy. He's mobile. There's a lot of things I love about Mitchell Trubisky's game. If he could not be in a better situation right now, outside of being with Kansas City or New Orleans, you have Sean McDermott, who's one of the best head coaches in the league, and if anyone can turn him around, it's Buffalo. But Mitch Trubisky looked great today. He's a big winner in my eyes. Let's go to some other winners. Let's go to the running game. Right off the bat, someone you noticed in the running game was Reggie Gilliam. Reggie Gilliam, probably the Buffalo fullback this year. He was making a case to be on this roster for sure. He's in his second season out of Toledo. He's undrafted. But he had 8 carries for 24 yards. Had 2 touchdowns on the day. Pretty crazy in my eyes. He looked really good. He was, for a running, a fullback's normally, block for a guy, or at the very least gets short yardage. At the end of the game, he was taking straight-up running back carries, which is insane to me. It shows how much faith they have in Reggie Gilliam. Big winner of the game in my eyes. And then I'll have another winner. He only had 2 carries, but I'm going to be honest with you guys. Devin Singletary looked phenomenal. He had 2 carries, but they were for 21 yards and a touchdown. Singletary looks like the real deal. Now, I've said it before, and I don't want to, fool myself again. I thought Singletary was going to be great last year, and when Zach Moss went down, he was not good at all. But I think, honestly, if you have Singletary, Zach Moss, and Matt Breida in the same running back room, you could have some real trouble on your hands if you were another team. Watch out for the running game this year. I think Devin Singletary was involved. He had 1 catch for 5 yards. I remember that. Let's go to the receiving game. I had 3 receivers that I think won this game. Let's start with the Buffalo Bills. Isaiah McKenzie. Now, Isaiah McKenzie, he had a fumble on a punt return, and I was like, oh, this guy might be a loser in this game. Actually, 4 receivers, now that I think about it. Isaiah McKenzie came out after that, and he was absolutely the best receiver. He had 7 catches for 72 yards. He looked awesome. Now, Isaiah McKenzie right now, if you look at the Buffalo Bills, he is not cracking the starting lineup. But basically what he did was he ensured himself. I think he's the 5th best receiver on this team, if I'm going to be honest. I feel like I thought that before. I think that even more now. I mean, just look at the receiving core. You got Stephon Diggs, you got Emmanuel Sanders, you got Cole Beasley. That's one of the killer top 3s you could ever hope to have. And then you have Gabriel Davis, who looked really good last year. I just think Isaiah McKenzie was the 5th best player on this roster, and I think he proved that to me this game. So I just thought it was really interesting. And then I also got to put Jacob Hollister. Jacob Hollister is a guy, a tight end. He's hopped around the league quite a bit at this point in his career. He was fighting for the number 2 spot with Tommy Sweeney. Tommy Sweeney, if you did not know, was a 7th-round pick at Boston College in 2019. He's trying to get that Dawson Knox role. Not Dawson Knox. Oh, Tyler Croft. Tyler Croft was the tight end, too, for the Buffalo Bills last year. He's trying to take that over that role. He was definitely fighting Tommy Sweeney off for that role, and he looked good today. 3 catches for 53 yards. He kind of proved himself something to me today. And then I'd like to also talk about Jake Kummerow. Jake Kummerow ended up only having 2 catches for 20 yards, but one of them was a touchdown. One of them was one of the best catches I've ever seen. He had 5 targets. So, I don't know. Jake Kummerow is a guy, I'm thinking the Buffalo Bills keep 6 receivers, and I think either you keep Jake Kummerow or Marquez Stevenson, and I'm going back and forth on it. Jake Kummerow is obviously the veteran, and he provides a lot of the same things that Cole Beasley does. Marquez Stevenson, he provides similar gameplay as Gabriel Davis, so I've been going back and forth on it a lot, but Jake Kummerow had a big game tonight. He had a decent game tonight, at least I thought, so I'm still in the air about it. But he kind of proved something to me tonight. He definitely looked good, so yeah, I'm still in the air about it. Rodney Adams. Rodney Adams was a guy I had never heard of, if I'm going to be honest. I wasn't even on my radar. If I'm going to be honest, he was so far off my radar. Because, I mean, honestly, you look at the Bears receiving core, I think top 4 pretty easy. A-Rob's the best receiver on the team by a lot. You got Darnell Mooney. He's the 2nd best receiver on the team by a lot. Then you have Marquise Goodwin and Demir Bird. There's kind of 3-4. And then it's kind of like a toss-up at 5 and 6. Like, if you look at it, you got Riley Ridley, you got Chris Lacey, you got Daz Newsome, you got Rodney Adams. In my opinion, those are the 4 competing for that 5-6 spot. Man, Rodney Adams did not make a serious case for it tonight. Rodney Adams, if you do not know, is a 5th-round pick in 2017 by the Minnesota Vikings at USF. So, I mean, it's a toss-up to be sure who makes this roster, but Rodney Adams definitely made his point tonight. He had 3 catches for 89 yards in the touchdown. The big thing for him was the awesome touchdown catch, where he absolutely mossed. I don't remember who the corner was on that play, but he 100% mossed him. And honestly, if he's trying to make this roster, that's what you need to do. You need to make plays like that if you want to make this roster. And, I mean, he looked decent. And if you're looking for the Bears, I mean, you want as many high upside players as you could possibly have. Rodney Adams definitely has a somewhat decent high upside. And then I'll go with another receiving threat that I think proved himself this game. It's Reggie James. He ended up he was targeted 5 times. He had a touchdown pass that he could have had. I mean, I could have seen it going either way. He didn't end up catching that one, but he did end up having 4 catches for 54 yards. Right now, he's very much fighting for that number 3 spot on the roster. I think he has it on lock. I mean, J.P. Holtz, in my opinion, undrafted player out of Pitt, 3rd season in the NFL. I'm just going to say it. I don't think is going to make the roster over Jesse James, a proven veteran. And then you have 3 tight ends that are very solid on your team. If you're the Bears, you got Cole Kmet, Jim Graham, and Jesse James. I thought he was a very good pickup late in the season, and I think he has a possibility of being very good. He definitely looked like a winner in this game. And then I'm going to put up someone on the special team side of things that I think won. It was Marquez Stevenson. I don't think there was a lot of a debate about that. Marquez Stevenson had on the kick return, 1 return for 26 yards. Then on the punch return, he had 1 return, 79 yards and a touchdown. If you're trying to prove yourself and get on this roster as a rookie, Marquez Stevenson literally gave you the blueprint on how to do it. He looked amazing in special teams, and that's what you got to do if you want to make this roster and you're a rookie. Marquez Stevenson looked great, and again, I'm debating for him as that 6th receiver on the Buffalo Bills. Whoever they cut is definitely going to be signed by someone else, that's for sure. Unless they put him on the... Yeah. Someone's going to get signed. Some losers here. I'm going to go with Davis Webb and Jake Fromm for this one. You're trying to prove yourself as the number 2 QB. And if you're Davis Webb, you go 4 for 6 for 30 yards. And Jake Fromm goes 3 for 7 for 20 yards. Again, not ideal, if you're going to be honest. Not if you're trying to win this backup job. Not going to work. And then Andy Dalton also looked pretty sucky. He had the 1 touchdown pass. He did end up having some pretty decent stats in the day. 11-17, 146 yards. He threw a touchdown and a pick. He didn't look good. I can tell you that. The Buffalo Bills defense basically shut him down for the majority of this game, and except for the one touchdown pass. Didn't look good. And then Justin Fields also didn't look good. It has a lot to do with the Buffalo Bills defense being that dominant. But, again, trying to make a point to be the starting QB, and Andy Dalton and Justin Fields both did not make a huge point tonight. And I'm going to go another loser on this end, and it's going to be most of the running game, but I'll go with Khalil Herbert, Artavis Pierce, and Damien Williams, because we all know C.J. Marable is not making this roster. At running back, and you're Khalil Herbert and Damien Williams, you're trying to make your case for the number 3, number 4. But I'm going to go with almost 100% of teams are going to keep 3 running backs on the roster. I'm going to take that as a given. David Montgomery, Tariq Cohen are the 1 and the 2. I don't think anyone's arguing against that. So Damien Williams or Khalil Herbert are both combating for that number 3 or number 4 spot. If they decide to keep 4, they could decide to just keep only 3. And Khalil Herbert had 3 carries for 15 yards, and he did get a touchdown, granted, but didn't get enough carries in my eyes to actually make a point. And then Damien Williams, he looked horrible. He had 5 carries for 8 yards. His longest run was a 3-yard run. And let's also point out that on the Khalil Herbert thing, his longest run was a 13-yard run, and he ended up only having 15 yards on the day. So again, he had 1 run, and then the other 2 runs were pretty garbage. I think except for one of, I don't know. I don't know if the 13-yard was in the end zone. But Artavis Pierce also trying and break that sliver of chance to make it onto the roster. I don't see that happening now, though. That's for sure. Those are my winners and losers for the Buffalo Bills Chicago Bears game. I hope you enjoyed it. Hey, everybody, this is GGB Coast Pepper saying adios, amigos.